So with the NBA All-Star Game this Sunday, I stumbled across an article from Bleacher Report that came out in March of 2021, and it's them predicting the NBA All-Stars 5 years from now. Well, hey, we're here 5 years later for the 2026 All-Star Game. Let's look at this article and let's see what they got right and what they got wrong. So what is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? You know I love reacting to these things that happened in the past because we try to make content that predicts the future. We're trying to see what's going to maybe change in 5 years. And looking at this photo here, a lot has changed in 5 years because basically up until like February of 2025, if I asked you, one of these players was not going to be on their current team anymore, everybody would have said Zion Williamson. Nobody would have said Luka Donic. Zion is still a Pelican, and Luka Donic is now a Los Angeles Laker. So this is from Zach Buckley in March of 2021. So almost 5 years to the date. The NBA All-Star Game is this weekend in Los Angeles. And let's see what we have going for us as they were prepping for the 2021 All-Star Game, which was a little bit later that year because it was a 72-game season. So first All-Star we have Bam Adebayo, and I'm going to toggle back and forth between the All-Star rosters, but Bam Adebayo was not an All-Star this year. I don't think Bam was really ever considered to be an All-Star. I don't think he's really going to end up as an All-Star, even if there's like another 2 to 3 injury replacements, which I think would be a lot. I think if there's maybe another one, maybe Reeves gets in, maybe Lowry Marketing gets in. I don't think there's any way that Bam ends up getting in, just because I don't think the Heat are going to get 2 All-Stars. And Norman Powell ended up being the Miami Heat All-Star. So no Tower Hero, no Bam Adebayo. It ended up being Norman Powell, who I don't even remember. Was he on the Blazers? Was he on the Raptors in 2021? They say Bam was going to be 28 years old. He was averaging 19 points, 9 rebounds, 5.5 assists. I mean, Bam coming off the bubble run with his defensive ability and being the number 2 kind of to Jimmy Butler during that finals run. He was a special young player in this league. Bam is making a lot of money. He is, I guess, the franchise player of the Miami Heat. Maybe you're a little bit disappointed with his ceiling because it feels like we've reached his ceiling offensively as a player. Maybe he takes another leap. Maybe the shot ends up getting better over time. We'll see. But yeah, they got this one wrong. Bam was not an All-Star this year, but you could see the reasoning back then. Next up, we have Giannis Antetokounmpo, who was obviously an All-Star this year. I didn't even realize that they actually came out with the stars versus stripes for USA. Obviously, Giannis is on the World All-Stars. I don't know if you could have predicted that they were going to do 3 teams of 8 in 2026 back then. But yeah, Giannis was an All-Star this year, 28 points, 10 rebounds, 5.5 assists. There was a chance he was not in this Milwaukee Bucks uniform anymore, and Giannis was going to end up getting traded this year at the deadline. Back in 2021, Giannis was averaging 29 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, and was 31 years old. Giannis ended up winning back-to-back MVPs in 2019 and 2020. He was looked at as maybe the best player in the NBA already at this point. This is before they ended up winning it all, before the 2021 playoffs, when they end up beating the Nets and they beat the Hawks in the conference finals and the Suns in the NBA finals. But yeah, they got this one right. 1 for 2 so far. Deandre Ayton is here next up. Oh yeah, this one has not aged the best. Deandre Ayton has played on a couple teams since the Phoenix Suns, the Portland Trailblazers, and now the Los Angeles Lakers, so not too many teams. In 2021, he was averaging 14.5 points, 11.5 rebounds, and 1 block a night. They predicted him as an All-Star when he was going to be 27 years old here in 2026. But yeah, they were really gassing up his 2021 production with Chris Paul and Devin Booker, and you can really see how much has changed. DeAndre Ayton was phenomenal for the Phoenix Suns in their Western Conference Championship back in 2021, and he was a great Sun in 2022 as well with Chris Paul. Obviously, once Chris Paul ended up leaving Phoenix, Aiden's career kind of went down a little bit. And obviously, when you're younger too, and he was a number 1 overall pick, you can kind of go through the ups and downs and you can kind of live with the bad as long as the good is pretty good. But now DeAndre Ayton hasn't really progressed as a rim protector. His motor hasn't really been what you wanted it to be for somebody that you thought could be a multiple time All-Star in his career. I remember how good he was in those 2021 and 2022 playoffs, and I just don't know if he's ever going to get like decent money again. There's a chance he opts into his $8 million player option with the Lakers. That's how bad things have gone. Now there's always going to be a need for big men in the NBA and big man depth, but once DeAndre Ayton, I think, takes a minimum contract in the league, I don't think he's ever going to get another non-minimum contract. That's usually a trend. You're kind of seeing it with Russell Westbrook right now. Like, once you take that minimum contract, it's just very hard to upgrade on that, especially when you're a veteran. Now, he's only 27 years old, so it's not like he's super old. It's not like he's Russell Westbrook in his late 30s or Chris Paul. But yeah, Ayton, not an All-Star this year. 1 for 2 so far, and this is definitely the worst prediction. LaMelo Ball ends up being next here. So Honestly, LaMelo is definitely having the best year probably since 2022. LaMelo ended up winning Rookie of the Year, I believe, from this class in 2021. He averaged 16 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. This was actually LaMelo Ball's rookie season as well. He led the Hornets to an above 500 record in 2022. They lose in the play-in tournament, but injuries have kind of derailed the last 3 to 4 years of LaMelo Ball's career. So this one looks a little bit better now that the Charlotte Hornets are playing some good basketball, but it's maybe not the best take in the world in terms of aging. Obviously, there's a lot of other point guards that we could talk about that I'm not sure might like not even get mentioned here, right? Like, what if Shai is not mentioned here? What if Jalen Brunson? He's probably not going to be mentioned here. He wasn't even a Knick yet. Maybe Cade Cunningham, maybe not. Maxey, we'll see going forward. So yeah, no LaMelo Ball here. One for 3. They got 1 right and 3 wrong so far. Devin Booker next up. So they ended up getting this one. Devin Booker is an all-star this year with the Phoenix Suns. The Suns had to get 1 all-star with them, exceeding expectations and being a pretty competitive team in the Western Conference. Booker has better numbers than Dillon Brooks. He's more popular than Dillon Brooks. You can make an argument that Dillon Brooks has been more important to the Suns' success this year than Devin Booker in a way, but I was definitely on board with Devin Booker making an all-star team this year. He was averaging 25 points, 4.5 assists back in his age, I guess, 24 season. Now that Devin Booker is 29, making $75 million a year. Imagine telling somebody back in 2021 that Devin Booker was going to be making $75 million a year. And this was before they lost in 2021, had a 60-win season in 2022, but losing in round number 2. They haven't made it back. They haven't won a playoff series. Or no, they did win 1 playoff series back in 2023 after trading for Kevin Durant that year. They ended up beating the banged-up Clippers in round number 1. And yet, I wonder if James Wiseman will be in this because he's in this photo right here. Jaylen Brown, solid prediction here. I don't think it's a crazy take to say that Jaylen Brown was going to be an all-star, but this one has aged nicely. Erase with this one. But this one has aged well. I'm assuming they're going to have maybe Jayson Tatum as well. Unfortunately, that one's not going to be technically correct because Tatum, although he would have been an all-star this year if healthy, he is not healthy right now. So Jaylen Brown was averaging 24.7 points, 3.9 assists, and 2.3 threes a night back in 2021. Now, I think maybe some people thought that he wasn't going to be a Boston Celtic in the year 2026, but a Supermax later and a Finals MVP later, he is still a Boston Celtic. He's been a top 10 player in the league this year. You could definitely make an argument he's deserving of All-NBA first team this year and has handled the number 1 option seamlessly when Jayson Tatum has been out, who's now practicing with like the main Celtics in the G League, and maybe there's a really good chance Jayson Tatum ends up playing this year. But yeah, Jaylen Brown, that one is correct as well. So I guess to tally this up, we've gone through 6. And they've gotten 3 right. So 3 for 3. And then, wow, they get Cade Cunningham right. Cade Cunningham was not even in the NBA yet. Is it presumptuous to predict an all-star berth from someone who's not even in the association yet? I mean, maybe. But if you've ever watched Cade Cunningham in action, then you'll get it. That is crazy. Give Ben Simmons a jumper, and he'd be a generational great. That same sphere of potential is there for Cunningham at 6'8". Is he 6'8"? I don't think so. It was definitely Oklahoma State like lying about his numbers. But yeah, Cade was an all-star this year. Cade is on the team USA Stars, averaging 25 points, 9.7 assists, 5.5 rebounds for the 1-seeded Detroit Pistons. Nobody knew that he was going to end up being a Detroit Piston, but he's definitely changed the Pistons franchise trajectory. They were one of the darker franchises in the NBA up until the 2021 draft. They had a bright-ish future in 2018, and then they traded for Blake Griffin, and that was just a dumb trade. Blake was great in 2019, but that was his only good year in Detroit, and his knees kind of gave out on him. And then they got lucky in the 2021 lottery. They take Cade. Obviously, they kind of hit rock bottom in 2024, where they ended up just winning like 14 games that season, and they fell to 5 in the lottery. But vibes are high now in Detroit. They're going to have 2 All-Stars this year. I doubt they're going to have Jalen Duren as a prediction. So I think they're 1 ahead right now, 4 for 3 in terms of predicting the All-Stars. Anthony Davis here for the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't know if you could have predicted AD to not be a Laker by then. I mean, AD we thought was a top 5 player in the NBA when he got traded to the Los Angeles Lakers, and he just had arguably a Finals MVP performance in 2020. He could have definitely won it over LeBron James, but yeah, Anthony Davis is not an all-star this year. He's on the Washington Wizards, so no longer on the Dallas Mavericks. He's on the Washington Wizards. He was averaging 22 points, 3 assists, 1.8 blocks. This was the 2021 season, so they were the reigning NBA champions, and then they ended up losing to Phoenix, who won the whole Western Conference, and then they panicked in the offseason and traded for Russell Westbrook, which was kind of the demise of the Lakers going forward. They did make it to the conference finals in 2023 after beating the Memphis Grizzlies in round number 1 and I believe the Golden State Warriors in round number 2, and then they ended up going up against the Denver Nuggets in the conference finals in 2023. They ended up getting swept in a close sweep, and then the team was kind of never the same. They did lose to Denver the year later, and then they traded for Luka Doncic, and they still lost in round 1. They haven't made it past round 1, but yeah, Anthony Davis, not an all-star. I wonder what the odds would be that Anthony Davis is ever an all-star again in his career. In the Eastern Conference, especially with bigs next year, there's a chance because it's like Embiid, you never know with the health. Karl-Anthony Towns could be on the downturn, we'll see. You got to go up against like Jalen Duren. Who knows, maybe Giannis is in the Western Conference as well. So yeah, Anthony Davis could definitely be an all-star again, but right now the odds are not looking too favorable for him. So they're 4 for 4 in their predictions, 4 right, 4 wrong. And they take the lead again, 5 right, 4 wrong. Luka Doncic here for the Dallas Mavericks. Obviously, Luka Doncic is an all-star, averaging 33 points, 8.5 assists, and 8 rebounds. But for the Los Angeles Lakers, not the Dallas Mavericks. Imagine being able to tell somebody back in the year 2021 that they were going to trade this player in his prime. Unreal. So Luka obviously is a different player than what he was back in 2021. You know, likes to play a little bit slower, a little bit more methodical, maybe lost a little bit of his athleticism, but still is one of the best, maybe arguably the best scorer in the NBA. I would still say Shai is the best scorer in the NBA, but Luka was averaging 28.5 points, 9 assists, 8.5 rebounds at 22 years old. That is insane. That is insane. He's 27 right now, and they decided to trade away this generational superstar for Anthony Davis, who, funny enough, like, they didn't know what they were doing back then. They were back to back, and they ended up getting traded for each other. So they've gone 5 right, 4 wrong. Embiid is an all-star this year. Now, if we did this after the initial list came out, they would have been wrong, but Embiid has been listed, I believe, as an injury replacement, correct? Oh, wait, no, they're actually wrong with that one. Joel Embiid is not an all-star this year. I don't know why in my mind I thought he was an injury replacement, but actually Brandon Ingram was the injury replacement for Steph Curry. I think it had to be a USA player. So unless there's another world player that gets removed from the All-Star game, because Şengün, I guess, ended up making it over Joel Embiid as the Shai injury replacement. Giannis has already been replaced and was maybe replaced by Kawhi Leonard in a way. It's just weird. Yeah, Embiid has not been an all-star. I wonder if he's going to be an all-star. Maybe if somebody else backs out or somebody else gets hurt leading up to the all-star game, Embiid will make it. But this is technically incorrect now. If you told somebody last year Embiid was not going to be an all-star this year, they would have definitely seen the reasoning for that, because Embiid struggled to stay healthy last year. He was banged up a ton and really didn't look great in like the 20 or so games that he was actually out there. And then Embiid at the start of this season also didn't look great. But over the last 2 months, he's been arguably the best Eastern Conference big man in the NBA with Giannis on the shelf. I was going to say center in the NBA, but you still have Jokic putting up good numbers and what Embiid just did against the Los Angeles Lakers. But Embiid was averaging 30 points, 11.5 rebounds, and shooting 41% from 3 for the 2021 Sixers, a 2021 Sixers team that ended up having actually the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, and then Ben Simmons chose not to shoot it against the Atlanta Hawks in round number 2. I don't need to go into that again, but I wonder if we're probably going to see Ben Simmons as an all-star here. Embiid at 31 is still playing good basketball, and I think Sixers fans will take that. Obviously, it's been an up and down kind of last 5 years for Embiid in Philadelphia, but this one is technically wrong, so they're 5 for 5 right now in their predictions. De'Aaron Fox here on the Sacramento Kings. I mean, a lot of these guys have changed teams. De'Aaron Fox was 23 years old in 2021, averaging 23 points, 7.5 assists, and 1.8 steals. He was sharing the backcourt with Tyrese Halliburton, and neither of those two are there right now. I wonder if Halliburton would be a prediction here, although it is technically wrong. De'Aaron Fox, not an all-star this year, has not been a replacement. I don't think he's going to end up being an all-star, even if there's some more replacements down the line, because, yeah, like Embiid might make it over him. Reeves might make it over him at one point. Markkanen, if there's even some more replacements. The Spurs have only gotten 1 all-star this year with Victor Wembanyama, so they're technically wrong with this one as well. I mean, Fox's numbers were going to take a little bit of a hit in terms of making an all-star game when he's now the number 2 to Victor Wembanyama, and then obviously there's a lot of mouths to feed in terms of scoring the basketball in San Antonio. So they are 5 for 6, 5 right, 6 wrong in their predictions. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, okay, they got this one right. Shai in 2021 was averaging 23 points, 6 assists on 62% true shooting. And he somehow just like stayed at the same true shooting. It might even be better right now, but the scoring has gone up 10 points per game. That is mind-blowing. Obviously, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is an all-star. averaging 31.8 points, 6.5 assists, and 4.4 rebounds. He's the reigning MVP, Conference Finals MVP, and Finals MVP. You can make a very good argument he's the best player in the world. I think it really comes down between him and Nikola Jokic. And if he goes back-to-back in MVPs or back-to-back in Finals MVPs, I think he has the crown for best in the world. So they end up getting this one right. They are now 6 for 6. We have Brandon Ingram. Wow. Okay, so they technically get this one right. Obviously, there's more than 24 All-Stars in real life this year with the injury replacements. And if I made this video a couple days ago, I would have said that they were wrong, but Brandon Ingram ends up making the All-Star game. He gets traded to the Toronto Raptors at the 2025 deadline, and his first year in Toronto, he lands an All-Star appearance, averaging 22 points, 3.7 assists, and 5.9 rebounds. Pretty similar stuff to what he was doing back in 2021 for the Pelicans, and he was like the main piece coming back in that Anthony Davis trade. It was Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart, Zion Williamson. Damn, the future was bright in New Orleans. All these draft picks. Drew Holiday, and then they traded Drew Holiday to Milwaukee, and they got a haul as well. And we're kind of still at the same point, and they're arguably the worst team in the NBA this year, and they don't own their first round pick. So that ends up getting them, I think, back on track. So they are, I believe, 7 for 6 now. 7 right, 6 wrong. 8 right, 6 wrong. Nikola Jokic, obviously an All-Star this year. Do I need to explain this one? You do not. Jokic ended up winning the 2021 and 2022 and 2024 MVP awards. He was your 2023 Finals MVP winner. You could have made a great argument he should have won 2023 and 2025 MVP awards as well. So he's got 3 All-Stars. Jokic at 26 just looks so young. He also looks like skinnier out there as well. Jokic this year is averaging still video game numbers, 29 points, 10.7 assists, and 12 rebounds. So they end up getting that one right. So I believe they've gone 8 right, 6 wrong. And they get another one right here. Kawhi Leonard is an All-Star. Kawhi was an injury replacement this year. I don't think they were going to be able to predict the aspiration scandal. And if you told a Clippers fan back in 2021, yeah, you were not going to make, or you're going to make 1 conference finals, but like Kawhi was even going to be healthy. You made 0 NBA finals with Kawhi and Paul George. You would have been devastated. And the player you traded in this deal ended up turning into the best player in the world in the Paul George trade. Kawhi Leonard is still putting up All-Star numbers this year and was definitely deserving of an All-Star appearance. Kawhi this year as an injury replacement, 27 points, 3.7 assists, 6.2 rebounds. I believe he was the Giannis replacement. So very similar numbers to what he was averaging back in 21. I think like Embiid, I'm just glad Kawhi is healthy right now. I know they took a step back trading Harden and Zubats, but he's been great and he's still playing like one of the best players in the world. Is he a top 5 player in the league? No. Is he top 10? When healthy? Yes. It's just like that kind of key caveat, when healthy. So they end up getting another one right here. I believe they're 9 for 6 at the moment. Donovan Mitchell, so they're 10 for 6 right now. Donovan Mitchell is an All-Star, but for the Cleveland Cavaliers. A year later, in that offseason of 2022, after losing to Dallas in round 1, Donovan Mitchell ends up getting traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers. He was averaging 24.7 points, 5.5 assists, and 3.3 steals. The Jazz may no longer rank as NBA elites in 5 years. It's a good take. That is a good take, 100%. They saw the downfall. Mitchell's averaging 29 points, 6 assists, and 4.5 rebounds. It's not like they regressed as a team. They regressed because they traded away everybody. Traded Royce O'Neal. They traded Mike Conley. They traded away Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert. Basically, everybody ended up leaving this team. Bojan Bogdanovic, all these guys were gone at one point. Evan Mobley, not an All-Star, but a great prediction, man. A great prediction, because I believe, yeah, he was an All-Star last year. He wasn't even in the NBA yet. He was playing at USC, where he was a raw prospect coming over, but he's won a depoy. They say they gave Evan Mobley over Jalen Suggs, Jalen Green, and Jonathan Kuminga. So, yeah, putting Mobley here, although it is wrong, looks a lot better than those guys as well. Mobley was probably not going to be an All-Star this year. He's even injured right now, so there's a 0% chance he's going to be nominated as an All-Star. But it's a pretty good take. It is technically wrong, but it is a good take. So they are 10 and 7. They've gone 10 right, 7 wrong in their All-Star predictions. Ja Morant here. So they've gone now 8 wrong. Ja Morant was not an All-Star this year, and we're now kind of at rock bottom of Ja Morant's maybe 5-year window, where maybe in 2022, 2023, we hit the peak of it, leads the Grizzlies to a 2 seed. And then ever since they lost to the Lakers in round number 1, even after like the previous year, losing to the Warriors in round number 2 in 2022. It's just been downhill. The Instagram video, the injuries, they just traded away Bane in the offseason and Jaren Jackson Jr. at the deadline, and Memphis is now kind of rebuilding. They tried to trade away Ja Morant at the deadline. That did not happen. So they've gotten 10 right and 8 wrong throughout this. Michael Porter Jr., low-key, this is a solid prediction because Porter Jr., you could say, was an All-Star snub this year. He could still end up making the All-Star game if somebody else didn't get in. Like, I don't get how they put Brandon Ingram in, but not Michael Porter Jr. when they already put Pascal Siakam in. So like the Nets and Pacers record is pretty much identical. So if you can't say that we won't put in Michael Porter Jr. because of the injuries, or excuse me, because of the record, but you put in Brandon Ingram, who's not as good as Michael Porter Jr. this year. Michael Porter Jr., 27 years old. He's obviously the number one option in Brooklyn, no longer in Denver anymore. And it's funny because like we didn't see Jokic play with another all-star till this year, and I don't know if they're going to give 3 nods to the Nuggets and put Jamal Murray in. So I believe now they've gotten 10 right and 9 wrong. So we're almost at 500. Okay, they've gotten 10 right, 10 wrong. Ben Simmons here, not an all-star. You get why, right? Like Ben Simmons was averaging 16, 8, and 7.5. I actually think I made a video on predicting the all-stars as well. So I reacted to like my top whatever players on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve on this channel. Predicting like those players back in 2021 for 2026. I think I made an all-star video too. So if you want to see me react to that maybe this weekend, let me know. Ben Simmons, yeah, this one is wrong. So they've gone 10 right, 10 wrong. Ben Simmons is fishing in Australia at this point. Jayson Tatum, this is technically wrong as well. Now, obviously you didn't know that Jayson Tatum was going to blow out his Achilles in 2026. But if we're just kind of keeping track, they've gone 10 right, 11 wrong now. Damn, they just got like 5 wrong in a row or something like that, or 4 wrong in a row. Tatum, yeah, would have been an all-star this year. Obviously not playing at 28 years old. He didn't win a finals MVP, but he's got a ring at this point. Multiple All-NBA first teams. I wonder if we'll see him win an MVP in his career. Karl-Anthony Towns, they get this one right as well. Karl-Anthony Towns not in this Timberwolves jersey anymore. He's obviously with the New York Knicks. I don't think Cat was really the most deserving all-star this year. He's averaging about 20 points, 3 assists, 12 rebounds. The Knicks are the 3 seed, I think, right now in the Eastern Conference, slightly behind the Boston Celtics. Yeah, I just don't know. Yeah, I just don't know if like Cat like is the fully deserving of an all-star, but it's technically correct as well. So they are now, I believe, 11 for 11, but they are 11 for 12 now. Zion Williamson is not an all-star this year, although credit to Zion, he's played 27 or so games in a row right now, and he's looking solid for the Pelicans. Although the Pelicans never got to see Zion play in a playoff series because the 2 years they made it to the playoffs, Zion got hurt in 2022, I think, when they played the Suns in round 1, and then he got hurt in the play-in tournament when they lost to the Thunder in 2024. It's just been kind of a disaster. He's got this injury clause in his contract where a team can cut him at any time. Joe Dumars doesn't want to move him. It's sadly incorrect when you thought when Zion was an all-star, I think in 2021, you thought he was going to be like a 5-time all-star at this point. And then lastly, Trae Young. So they end up going 11 for 13. They got more wrong than they got right. Trae Young was averaging 26 points, 9.5 assists, and he would have been 27 years old. Or he was 22 back then, which is crazy because him and like Luka were insane as these sophomores or 3-year players in the NBA. Trae Young was not playing like an all-star with Atlanta this year, but it was such a small sample size. And then he ends up getting traded to the Washington Wizards, and we have yet to see him play so far either. So they get 11 right, 13 wrong throughout this. And I just went through this as well, and 11 out of the 24 players are not on their teams anymore. Also, like, obviously not counting Cade Cunningham and Evan Mobley, who were not in the NBA yet. And it's just like, yeah, funny to see how much has changed in the NBA. Like Deandre Ayton no longer on his current team. You go through like Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis. I mean, nobody really expected those to happen both, but yeah, both of them are not on their teams. Wait, I just realized no Kevin Durant here, no LeBron James. Yeah, that is interesting. No Steph Curry either. So they didn't get those guys right. So I can kind of go through here. Like obviously Ingram's not on his team anymore. Kawhi is. Donovan Mitchell isn't. John Morant, like close to not being on his team. And then MPJ, Ben Simmons, Karl-Anthony Towns, and then Trae Young are no longer on their teams as well. So I guess, yeah, All-Stars, they didn't predict. Wemby, he was on nobody's radar. Same with Şengün at this point. They didn't predict Pascal Siakam, Jamal Murray. Denny Avdija was in the NBA yet, but it was hard to maybe predict this type of leap. Norman Powell, nobody really expected that either. They didn't predict Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Jalen Brunson, which was tough to do, obviously, for what he was in Dallas at the time. So that's 8 guys that they didn't predict. Maxey was 9. Or at least like gettable ones. Chet, I'll give you benefit of the doubt, although he was on people's radar, but it was tough. Jalen Duren, same thing. He was drafted a little bit later. Scotty was in the Mobley Cade class. So yeah, like over double-digit guys that they didn't get. No Anthony Edwards, but they did predict LaMelo Ball. So yeah, hope you guys did enjoy. If you want to see me react to a video I made of this, let me know by dropping a thumbs up, and you can let me know down below. Maybe I'll drop that on Sunday when the All-Star game is happening, and we can take a trip down memory lane once again and maybe just react on some terrible takes. I probably had Imani Bates in the All-Star game this year as well. So yeah, make sure you're subscribed for more content like this. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace.